When I went to college, I want to be an engineer, but nobody told me that you need to be very good at math and physics. So I used to be a long jumper in college, so I started taking physical education classes, and I loved them. And I said, you know what? Forget about engineer, and I'm going to be physical education teacher. When I told that to my dad, that he would have been his birthday would have been today, he got so mad at me that he didn't talk to me for 2 years. And he said, as a PE teacher, you are not going to make money. You are not going to travel. He was right about the money part better, maybe, but I've been able to travel all over the world doing what I do. My name is Luis Columna. I'm a professor in the kinesiology department here at UW-Madison, also one of the investigators here at the Weizmann Center. And I'm delighted to be here today to talk about what I do and what I did. So moving a couple of years later, I decided to go to do my PhD. And it was going to be paid for it, but the caveat was that I needed to do a minor in family science. But I told my advisor, I don't want to work with families. I want to do biomechanics or motor development. So we get into a heated conversation. So she started getting red, and she got mad at me and said, okay, you want to do that? Go ahead, do it, but you have to pay for your PhD. So I thought about it for 5 seconds, and I said, you know what? I'm going to love working with families. And and since that day, that's all that I've been doing since I graduated. And I'm going to share with you a little bit of my journey about that. So, in point of the previous presentation, on my title, you're going to see that I'm using people's first language, but I'm going to go back and forth between identity and people's first, depending on the audience. When I do my interventions, I have to make a disclaimer, and sometimes we go with the legal definition that we is used in school, but I don't want to make sure that everybody is included in here. So today, I'm going to talk about why physical activity is important for the kids. But more important, I'm going to talk about why physical activity is important for you parents. And you're going to say, oh my goodness, that's a brilliant idea. And I would love to take credit, but I didn't. That was not my idea. That's what the parents have been telling me that they need. And I'm going to share with you why is that. So we know that physical activity is important. And in our intervention, we make play fun. We want to make sure that the kids get the best equipment, have the best activities for them to interact with other children. But we do that by equipping the parents. So I thought, if I teach parents how to play with the kids, I'm eliminating a lot of their stress. There was my own biases, right? I saw what is good, but you're going to be surprised. Based on the benefit that we know that physical activity have for children, we developed a program it's called Fit Families. So basically, before doing this program for autism, we did it for children with visual impairment. And we did 5 workshops: orientation and mobility, physical activity, aquatics, and sport. Why those? Because kids with visual impairment, they need to maneuver the environment. Physical activity and sport, because they lack those activities. And aquatics, because what the number one activity among kids with visual impairment. Then we modified that for kids with autism, and we developed them 4 workshops: sensory integration and communication, physical activity, and aquatics. Sensory integration and communication, because those are the hallmark, the core of the disability. Physical activity and sport, because they lack those opportunities. But aquatics, because drowning is the number one cause of death among kids with autism. So while they love it, sometimes they don't know how to do it. So we did that. We taught them how to play with their kids. So I'm going to show you a couple of pictures of the visual impairment program, but it will represent the same that we did. In here, we are teaching parents to play a sport it's called goal ball. It's very popular in visual impairment field. It's basically a combination of soccer and bowling. So here we are teaching the parent how to play that sport. In another gym, the kids are learning how to play the sport the same way. But the cool part about our program is that then the parents get to practice what we taught them to their kids, which is what is supposed to be happening at school. PE teachers should be teaching parents what they can do at home. My kid get a lot of homework at school at night, but then I never receive any PE homework. I'm looking forward to get that, but we are not there yet. So imagine these are kids with visual impairment, but it's the same protocol for kids with other developmental disabilities, including autism. So, how we did that? We evolved and we created an app that have over 200 games and activities that we give it to the families around the 4 workshops that I told you. But in addition to give them the games, we provide them the equipment. Each family get about $200 to $300 worth of equipment. I feel like a Puerto Rican Santa. I'm from Puerto Rico. That's why this beautiful accent that you can hear right now. And Spanish is my first language. So we this is the part that I love about my program. My wife is here and she can tell that I was very poor growing up. So I feel, oh, I'm going to buy this like this is for me. So some of the kids with autism, sometimes they don't have peers or friends to play, right? I remember one time I was at Syracuse University doing this program. That's where I was before here. Actually, I came here for the better weather and look at where we are now, right? So, so we are running the program, and this mother come crying to me, and I said, what happened? What's the problem? You're supposed to be having fun. She was crying because her 10 years old, for the first time, was invited to a birthday party. So imagine that 10 years old, you are an expert on birthday party, right? But but that's your first time doing that didn't happen. So so buying the equipment, well, give me the opportunity to teach them that. So for example, the Stone Rocket, the blue box over there, if you want to teach somebody how to jump, that's the best way to do it. We gave them the sensory ball. Have there's two versions of that ball. One have sand, the other one have belt in it. So the kid can play with anybody, and nobody knows that the kid have autism. The spooner board, we gave that. The kid was not included, but the spooner board, the table, it was great for the vestibular system, which is responsible for balance and core. But look at this. This is one bag of equipment that they get for one workshop. Each parent, every time that they came to us, they got this equipment. And the kids then, when they go into the neighborhood, they had the best toy that anybody had. And then they start becoming, have friends and promote more interaction. So what we have learned is this. Through our programs, we can improve children's fundamental motor skills like throwing, kicking, catching, which are prerequisites to do sport and do even at school. But also, we learn that we can increase parental attitude and the self-efficacy or how good they feel about teaching the kid how to play. We did that. But at the same time, we increase parental stress. So, so that was my goal. My goal was I'm going to reduce the stress. But we increase it because they were so into the program that they love it so much that they want to impress me so much that the stress level went over the roof. So then when I talked to the parent, they told me this. Dr. C, a major barrier that we have is there are no program for my kids, especially when my kids stop being cute. Meaning that as the kids start growing up, actually, I still been cute for my mom, I think. So, but according to this mom, as the kids keep growing, there's no program for them. But most importantly, there's no program for the parents. And recently, we finished 3 different studies with my graduate students, in which there's a common denominator: they are lacking childcare for the kids, and they are not aware of any program that provides services for them. So what are we trying to do? We want to start creating programs or intervention for young adults with Down syndrome and autism, physical activity program for them. But more importantly, we are starting to design physical activity program for the parents in the form of yoga or depending on the community that we work, we need to use different terminology, but flexibility exercise or relaxation exercise to reduce that stress that I caused them for all of that. So I feel guilty about that. But then we also wanted to do dance program, but the one that we are about to we are in the process of designing this one is a resistance training program for parents of kids with autism or with developmental disabilities, I should say. So basically what we want to do is close the gap. We wanted to close the gap what the theory says and versus the practice says. So, so why this is important? So we know that parents have a lot of barriers to provide for their kids. The financial constraint, lack of program, limited resources, they don't know where to start many times. If they have more additional children, it is even more difficult. So their own health take a backseat in order to take care for their kids. And I know that I'm preaching to the choir here because you know what I'm talking about. But the consequences of that is health issues on the parents. obesity, back pain, anxiety, you name it, marital problems like divorce rate among families of autistic children are very high because of many of those issues, right? That will impact your quality of life, and that's what we are trying to do in our research. Even though that we know that it's important, the physical activity levels among parents of children with disabilities is significantly lower than the typical population. And if you add to the question to minoritized communities like Latino communities, is the amount of physical activity that they do is even lower. And again, we many stuff. But in our research, the main three barriers that we have identified is time constraint, lack of child care, and insufficient support. Those are the three main barriers. Again, we cannot address all of them, but these are the ones that we want to address. Why? So we know that physical activity improve health, improve, have other significant physical benefit, like give you more energy, give you a purpose in life. But what parents have told us, it gave me a me time. I need a time that I can be by myself, and I don't need to worry about my kid. I said, okay, let's do it. Let's create this program for the kids. And we interview parents about this. If we do a program for you, what do you think? Will help you reduce the stress? Yes, but it will give me more stress not knowing what my kid is doing. So it's difficult, right? So why can't I do how we address that? But I have the solution for you in a little bit. So, but also it gives you an opportunity to bond with your partners, to get better quality of life. If I want to talk to my kid, I tell him, hey, let's go for a drive and let's talk about life. They hate when I tell them what I'm going to talk about life, right? Because meaning that I'm going to scold them, but in a loving way, right? But we need to provide them an opportunity for self-care in our FIPA lab, and pay attention to this. This is coming. We're going to be designing a resistance training program for parents of kids with disabilities. We are still in the design phase. We are applying for a small grant to get pilot data. Then we can apply to a larger grant. We're going to provide childcare. In other words, we're going to do a mini version of Fit Families, but this time the parent will not be involved on that part. The parent will be participating in a program for themselves. And the kid will be working on different physical activity intervention. So the take-home message that I want to give you is some tips that you can do after you live here. One of the things that my family loved me the more about this is because if we go to the supermarket, I pick the farther parking spot. Two reasons for that. One is I'm conscious about physical activity. Right? I want us to walk. But the second reason, I don't want my car to get scratched. So, but I don't tell them that part. Right? Actually, I use that one to tell them what we need to do. But but my wife and I, we both are from Puerto Rico, so you can tell that how much we love this weather. And so sometimes we use apps to do activity in our basement, and do exercise in our basement. Um, I teach in the medical science building, and my office is on the second floor. On purpose, I take the stairs. So find any excuse to do so, and encourage your child to do the same. You go to Target, go with your child. Don't take him to the toys area first. Leave that one last, but walk around the whole store. Um, find a workout body. Talk to your family. You need to involve the entire family and use playground. We are so lucky that where we live, in front of our house, there's a playground. My kids think that that's the playground. Sometimes we have to tell them, listen, you have to share it with other kids, right? But but again, this one I put it in there because that's what the leadership said. I don't do that one. Wake up 10 minutes earlier. That for me is so hard. So I'll do it later. I can go 10 minutes later. So last week we were blessed, and we had the visit of Dr. McDonald from Oregon State. He had a really cool research in which she received NIH funding to bring kids with autism with their dog, and they were teaching tricks to their dog to promote physical activity. It's really cool. But I asked her, listen, if I'm teaching tricks to my dog, it's in this space, right? So, and giving tricks, so how you are encouraging physical activity? And she said that typically taking care of a dog is the parent's responsibility, but you can transfer that that responsibility to the kid. Have them take the dog for a walk, do the trick with the dog, and that will give you an opportunity to do other stuff. So in long, this is what she told us. You don't have a dog, then get a dog. That's what you need to do, right? Like during the summertime, we take our dog everywhere, and it's funny. We went to one of the parks, and my kids love it because the dog is more agile than them, and he can go places that he cannot go. But that's our dog's Max, and it's funny because we drove. He's a rescue dog. We drove 17 hours from here to Florida to get him. When we the and my wife, she knows this. The first time that we were supposed to get it, she said, "No, we are not gonna get a dog." So they gave the dog away. I was so mad. You didn't tell her that, right? But I was so mad. A week later, they returned the dog because it was destructive. It was a bad dog. And I told her that, I didn't tell her that part. I just told her that they returned the dog. And and she said, "You know what? It's meant to be. Let's go get her." So when we drove and we parked on the driveway, I saw this horse. It was almost a horse. I said, "My kid, stay here." And I said to myself, "Oh, what I have done." So the very first thing we did when we got the dog, he jumped at me and started licking my face. We took him to the groomer, and then we went to a beach in Florida and we let him loose. And I think that's all that he needed. One of my kids, he has sometimes anxiety issues, but the dog has been his path. So I said, okay, how can we do this? So I don't think that I'm going to do an intervention with dogs. I just think that they are cute, and they have changed our life. So with that, I want to say thank you to my lab, to the FIPA lab, definitely to the Weizmann Center for the opportunity that created for me. And si tienen preguntas, déjenme saber. If you have any questions, let me know. Muchas gracias. There's a question over here.
All right, we're coming down.
Hello, how you doing? So I have a question. We know like aquatics is very important, and also, do you recommend a certain sport that is best, or or what's best interests the child? I guess my question is, so I have three kids, 7-year-old autism, and I also have a 9 and 11-year-old neurotypical, and I have been doing the martial arts, and the way I see it, it's like they're more because it's a one-on-one instead, let's say playing soccer or basketball, where it's like maybe you're not included. And I don't want to say like in martial arts you are forced to, but it's like you're always there one-on-one, and you get you're more present, I guess. So I don't know if there's a certain sport, because I'm trying to get my son to martial art, but I hesitate. Like
How old is your son?
7, but I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. And but my daughters, they're in there already.
So thank you for your question. That's a really good question. And I will tell you, a kid with, and I tell this all the time to my students, kids with disabilities are kids. Sometimes we are afraid because of the diagnosis, right? And it's 7 years old, expose your child to everything. Everything. Like, because if he or she knows how to move her body, will be more prone to do other physical activity. Right now is the time to work on fundamental motor skills, like throwing, kicking, catching. Aquatics is good because it gives you exercise for your whole body. Soccer is another great sport, or gymnastic even is a great sport because you get to master your whole body. So don't be afraid. Treat your child like any other child. If your child doesn't like soccer, try it. If doesn't like it, find another sport. Spend your money finding activity that he or she like, and you're gonna enjoy that. And again, get a dog. That's physical activity.
All right, thank you.
My pleasure. There's a question over there.
All right, over here.
So I was just wondering, for the parents in your program, have they expressed any difficulty with trying to fit these exercises and um, stuff within the program into their daily life? And I guess, like, in general, how would you address this to a parent who has maybe not as much time because they're at work or because they're a single parent to promote that kind of physical activity for their child?
Very good question. And when I'm designing an intervention, I use a very fancy technique. I close my eyes and I envision the intervention, how it's going to run. So one of the things I run is I say, okay, I want to do like, because they're in Wisconsin, if it is too cold, they can do the activities at home. I said, okay, I'm going to give them equipment that they can do activities at home. I'm going to be honest with you. That doesn't work in my family because I don't like my kids to playing with the toys at home. So I had to find a way to do so. So finding ways to work with the school system, to other institutions. To the other question about they don't have the time, yes, it's very difficult for the parents. So eventually what you want to do is promote independence. In one of my classes, I have a group that is designing a program to teach siblings or kids with autism how to play with their kid, with their sibling who have autism. So that might be an alternative to take some of the burden away from the parent. But if we can launch the other program that I told you, where we're going to do an intervention for the parents and do physical activity with the kids, I think that would be the ideal scenario. So like all that we need is pilot data right now to then sell this idea to NIH, so then we can create a massive program to YMCA or other organization. That would be the way of doing it. So the short answer, yes, it's difficult for them to find time. But the other answer is that something that responsibility is on them. But if we give them the resources, I think we are helping them a little bit with that. Sounds good?
Maybe one more question if there is.
In the middle and right here in the front.
You said you had a Fit app. Is it available on the App Store? And I've got it open and there's 3 that say Fit Family.
Yeah, so the app is not available on the apps on that store that you mentioned yet,
Mhm.
because it's on the prototype version. So you're gonna find I did Fit Family when I was at Syracuse University, and then I'm here now at Wisconsin. So there's going to be two type of program, but our app is not in the App Store yet.
Okay, but you're looking forward to it happening?
We're working forward to that because one of the things that the parents told us is this, and this is what we need to think about it.
Mhm.
The equipment and the activities didn't grow up with the kids.
Mhm.
So our program is for kids ages 6 to 11,
Mhm.
give it a take. So what happened with the kid when the kids get older? So that's why we want to decide the exercise program for older population.
I work with children with autism in the schools, and per the PE class, we don't have equipment and things to do with them. Is there a website or someplace I can
Yes,
find that
talk to
information?
me. And because remember, I was a PE teacher, right? An adapted PE teacher. And that's a problem that we have this is a really cool thing. So, so we've been, for years, PE teachers struggle how to work with kids with disabilities.
Yes.
And that's what we try to do, prepare them how to do it. So we can talk after this.
Wonderful, thank you.
Awesome, my pleasure. And there's one more question, I think.
We have one last question from the chat, if we could. Someone wanted to know if you could let them know what equipment is in those bags that you give out.
I can definitely do that. Or actually, this is on the fly. Let me see. Maybe I can send a list of equipment that we have. Yes, we can do that. Actually, what I do is I go to Amazon. I'm giving credit here to this business, but Walmart, whatever is cheap, but it's quality. You know, the only thing that I bought at the dollar store are balloons and stuff like that. But everything else, I try to get quality equipment for them. So, but it has a purpose. So I try to find, okay, if I'm working on jumping, I need to find equipment that will help them to jump. If I'm working on swimming, so on and so forth.
Please, we have one more question.
Very good.
I had a question about the aquatics piece and with the drowning. And is there like, I don't know, something in particular that, that makes them more prone, or a place that we could go? Like I've tried with my boys to get swimming and that's kind of been an issue. So do you have a recommendation on the aquatics?
Yeah, like I remember during COVID, we had to transition everything from in person to online. And aquatics was the very first workshop that we did online. everybody was dry, but they love it because we have a lot of games and activities that go with that. We wrote a book that it is a assessment curriculum, which where we first assess the skill of the kids, but then we have games for each level of that assessment. Later we can talk, and I can give you the reference on that book. But it's basically I wrote that book with a colleague of mine and a former student, thinking on parents in mind. Like, it's funny because I'm not an amazing swimmer, but I can teach your kid how to swim. So, but if they are on the shallow end, basically. No, no, just kidding. But that's why I brought my colleagues. They are expert swimmer, so they can. It's a progression. It's a really cool book. But now online, there's so many ideas of activities that you can do. Um, but again, I think the water is so soothing and it's so cool, and the movement of the wave that called their attention. So sounds good. Well, thank you very much for your attention. I'm going to be around here, so if you have any other questions, just let me know.